This conference will now be recorded.
Let's begin today's session. So in the last session, we were discuss about object-oriented programming introduction. That means what are the benefits of object-oriented programming and what is class, what is object, and what are the features of object-oriented programming we were discussed. And even we started with a simple program in object-oriented way. We started to create a class and we include a constructor here and we include a method here. So in today's session, I'm going to give clarity on this code. Like what is this and constructor y, what is this is a method y, and this is object creation, and we are calling the method only. First I need to discuss about constructor and method differences, so I'll explain again this program only. So let's go to constructor description. Point number 1, what is constructor? Okay, so what is constructor means constructor is a special method of class. What is constructor means? You should say constructor is a special method of class only, sir. Okay, constructor is a special method of class. It's a method only, but special method. Okay, why constructor? Constructor is generally used to declare the variables and initialize the values to the variables only. Okay, initialize the values to the variables. Why constructor means constructor is used to declare the variables and initialize the values to the variables. This is the purpose of constructor. Generally, constructor can be used for this only. Next point number 3. Constructor name. Constructor name in Python is always underscore underscore init underscore underscore init underscore underscore of self. This is the constructor name, sir. Wherever you observe this name like underscore underscore init underscore underscore, this is called constructor only. But in general, according to Java or C#, even I used to teach C# also. In that cases, constructor name should be same as class name only. In Java as well as C#, OOPS concept, programmers declare the name of the constructor. It should be matched with class name only. But in Python, not like that. Okay. Generally, you can see this. Here, this is the object. This is the class. It looks like class name only, but originally it is what actually constructor only. But in Python, this constructor can be override with this method. Okay, so that's what in Python we can call it as this is the constructor only. So why? Because as soon as when we create object to the class, constructor will execute. Which one will execute? This one will execute. Initialization method will execute. So this method we can call it as a constructor only in Python. But other language point of view different. Don't compare with Java or C# if you know already. Okay, but in Python we can say this is constructor method. This is a constructor only. So constructor name in Python is always underscore underscore in itself only. But what is self, sir? Here self is a variable. It's not a keyword. So in other languages, generally programmers use this keyword. Even we use in C#, this keyword only we use. Why we use this keyword in C# as well as Java also? To access current class members. Current class members means what? Same class members. Member means what? Class is a collection of variables and methods, I said. That all variables, all methods are members of the class. Means that are part of the class. That are members of the class. So In Java as well as C#.NET, this keyword, how it will act, like to access current class members. Same in Python. Self is the variable. It's not a keyword. This self can be used to access current class members only. Okay. So now coming to this. Self is the first parameter of constructor only. Compulsory required, sir. Inside the constructor, self should be the first parameter. That's what I'm using self here. Self is the first parameter of the constructor. And what is self means? Self is a variable. What is self? Self is a variable which is used to access current class members. Current class members, sir. What is the use of self means? Self is used to access current class members. Same class members within the class we can access. And most important thing is self will work only inside the class. Once you cross the class or outside the class, self doesn't work. Object will work at that time. Means outside the class, object will work. Inside the class, self will work. To access any variables and methods within the class, we use self only. To access variables and methods outside the class, we use object reference only. Means object only. Okay. So self is not a keyword, it's a variable only. Even you can check in the keyword list, there is no self keyword in Python. Don't, what we can say, change the terminology. Okay, self is the variable only, it's not a keyword. So this is the constructor name init only. Init means initialization. Init stands for initialization. Sir, when constructor will execute? You are saying constructor is a special method of class, but when it will execute? So it is important, sir. Constructor will execute automatically. Constructor will execute automatically when we create object to the class, sir. When we create object to the class. When constructor will execute, it will execute automatically as soon as when we create object to the class. So whenever we create object to the class, automatically constructor will execute. So who will execute? Constructor will execute. When we create object to the class. Here also I created object. Immediately constructor will execute. After constructor, inside the constructor body, what is there? I declared the variables like SID, SNAME, SAddress, and I initialize the values to them. So initialization part, declaration part, generally we can include in the constructor only. Okay, this is constructor details. But sir, how many times constructor will execute? Yes, one thing is for sure. We can create any number of objects to the class. One class if we have, we can create any number of objects to the class. We can create any number of objects to the class. Okay, but for every object, for every object, constructor will execute once. For every object, constructor will execute once. Yes, sir. For every object, constructor will execute once. Sir. So this is the constructor rules and regulations. What is, for example, three objects are there. Three times constructor will execute. Object one purpose, constructor will execute. Object two purpose, again constructor will execute. Object three purpose also constructor will execute. So what is constructor? It is a special method of class. Why constructor? Generally, constructor is used to declare the variables and initialize the values to the variable. Initialization means assigning values to the variables. In Python, constructor name is always what? Underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. So init stands for initialization. Self is the first parameter of the constructor, sir. The name of the self is compulsory, but SCLF is not required. You can take any name also, but that name will become as a self only. The name SCLF not mandatory. You can change its name also, but that's not good idea. Okay. Even I'll try to change in the coding. Just wait. Self is the first parameter of the constructor, and self is the variable which is used to access current class members. Why self means? Self is a variable. It is used to access current class members only. Constructor, when it will execute automatically as soon as when we create object to the class. We can create any number of objects to the class, but for every object, constructor will execute once. This is complete details about constructor. Yes. Now coming to the methods. methods or method. Strictly remember, sir, in the previous examples, functions concept we were discussed. So function means that is different, but when it comes to same, we are defining the function. No, here display is the function, but this is defined inside the class. So you should pronounce this as a method only. Okay, if there is no class is there, then we should pronounce it what actually a function only. Normally, when we write function like this, def f1 is there. This is a function only. We don't have any self, nothing is there. But once this function, when I try to create inside the class, you can see I'm trying to create inside the class. This is what, sir, actually. Self is there. Automatically, self is going to activate or not. Yes. This we can call it as method. These small changes you can observe here. Okay. So now you can see student initialization. This is a constructor and this is a method. So what is the difference between these two? Constructor and method is difference is what, sir? Now you can see method. What is method? Method is a reusable piece of code. Method is a reusable piece of code, sir. Method is reusable piece of code which can be called again and again, which can be called again and again when it is required. When it is required. Yes, method advantage that is only. Once we include a method with logic, that method we can call repeated number of times whenever it is required. So method is a reusable piece of code which can be called again and again when it is required. Next, inside the method, generally what we can do. So constructor usage is what? To declare the variables and initialize values to the variables. But inside the method, we can write any logic code. Inside the method, we can write any business logic code. You can write your own logic code, whatever you want. Next, method name can be of any name, but constructor name is always standard name or not in it, initialization. But in Python, method name can be of any name, sir. Any name we can take, but that should be valid name only. Because naming rules, you know that. Method name should not be two parts. If you want provide two parts of the method name, better to use underscore. Okay, method name should not start with a digit. You know already naming rules, identifier rules and regulations. So in Python, any name is called identifier. There are rules and regulations of identifiers already explained in the beginning session. So you can use any method name as per your requirement. So in this program, I use method name is display only. You can take any name like M1, M2, M3 also you can take, not a problem. Okay. This is method. Name can be of any name. Now you can see inside the method also, self is the first parameter, sir. You can see self is automatically generated. So self is the first parameter of the method as well as self is the first parameter of the constructor only. Same. Self is the first parameter of method only. Method also. Next, constructor will execute automatically as soon as when we create object to the class I said. But method is not like that. Look at here. Method will execute only when we call them. When we call it. Method will execute only when we call it. If we don't call, method will not execute. So flexibility is there with method only compared to constructor. Because as a programmer, I can create many number of methods and I can use which method is required for us. I can call it, which is not required, I don't call it. So flexibility is there. But constructor is not like that. Once we include constructor inside the class, then how many number of objects we create, for every object constructor will be point out. Constructor will be initialized. So when we use constructor means for class all objects, if you have 10 objects for the class, for all objects, common services, common data, common initialization, if you want to provide that, we can include into constructor only. For all objects references, which is not common, object to object, different implementation, if you want call, then better to use method only. Because one object through I can call one method, other object through I can call other method as per requirement. So in this context, we can use method as well as constructor. So method will execute only when we call it. Okay. So for every object, constructor will execute once I said. But for every object, constructor method will execute any number of times. For single object, we can call a method with any number of times. Any number of times we can call, sir, for single object. But constructor will execute only one time for one object. But method we can call method any number of times with single object only. So this is the clear differences between method as well as constructor. Okay. So let's flip to program now. I create a class in the previous session. This is my class name. But look at here, class name is what actually student. I strongly recommend to use class name is capital letter. Now, if I don't use capital letter, just observe here, this class name is how it will look like. Underline red, underline silver squiggly is available. So underline is there. So this is, you can see, class name should use camel case convention only. So camel case convention means now you can see C capital letter small and actually C capital letter uh, uh, capital letter is there again. Both are capital letter. Actually, this is the camel case convention. So it is not camel case convention. So that's what I'm using capital letter. But look at here, I'm giving S small letter. And now you can see details I'm giving here. Again, it is saying what actually you can see when we place mouse pointer over, it is saying camel case convention here. What is camel case convention? See, camel case convention is a just a naming convention. Okay, naming convention is there. So the naming convention is, for example, if you are having words, two words are there here. Generally, two words are there. Student is one word, details is one word. So two words should starts with capital letter. This is camel case convention. So now warning is gone. S is a capital, D is a capital. This is camel case convention only. For example, if I go for this one only, like for example, student underscore details I'm using. Student underscore details I'm using. No, this is generally this is not suitable for class name. So again, I'm using this only camel case convention is there here. But actually this method, this underscore symbol is suitable for method declaration. That is good idea. So this type of declaration, what declaration? For example, you can see display underscore details I'm giving. This is my method name. So when I give this method name underscore symbol, there is no warning underline is coming. So this type of giving naming convention is what you can say snake convention. Okay, snake case, we can say that. So this is what actually snake case convention. And this is what actually camel case convention. If we have a name of the class with two words, each word whenever we starts with capital letter, this is called camel case convention. And in the method context I'm speaking, if the method is having two parts like two details, like display is one word, details is one word, you are making joining with underscore symbol, then we can go for this is what snake case convention. Even we can use like this, display student underscore details. This is snake case convention. Look at here, display underscore student underscore details. This is snake case convention. This is camel case convention. But sometimes you can see this. We are using this hyphen only. Look at here, hyphen. But this hyphen is not required. This is actually other convention actually. So this is not workout in Python actually. This is general convention. This type of convention is called kebab convention. So what convention it is? Kebab. This is kebab convention. This kebab convention will not work out in Python. Generally, I'm speaking here. So generally Instagram or Facebook in the chatting. So many people will use this kind of convention actually, but you can ignore them. This is not required for you. Only you can strictly remember this is details. This is what snake convention. The words are going to be separate by using underscore, underscore, underscore. This is called snake convention. And the words, each words, multiple words name is there. Each name is starting with capital letter. This is called camel case convention. So I recommend camel case convention for class names, and we recommend method names snake case convention only. In case your method is having two parts. If you don't have two parts, happily you can use normal one. I want to go for display only because I don't have two parts. Sir, what happens, sir, if I do this camel case convention for method? You can see this. Whenever I starts with letter D capital, now you can say underline squiggly is there. So why it is when we place mouse pointer over here, now you can see Function name should be lowercase only. It is saying warning. So these are all real-time naming convention rules you must and should aware of. Okay. So this is lowercase is recommend to give the function name. So let's give the lowercase only. So this is the naming convention. Don't worry, because my class name is student. So I'm giving S capital. That's all. So this is the class. Now this time is what? Constructor only. This is what? Method only. So I create object for the class because object is very important. We have to create to the class. Object through only we can represent the class. So we have a method here. Method is calling here. How to call method? Because of this method is present inside the class. Who will represent this class? S only. So S dot display I'm calling. So let's run this. This is our first program. So hope you understand this. So S dot display student details are coming. But just observe here. How many objects I create here? Only one object, that is called S only. As per my discussion, we can create any number of objects to the class. Okay. So let me create one object S1. S2 equals to one more object I'm creating student and S1 dot display. Now you can see S2 dot display. So two objects I created. So two times constructor will execute or not. As I said that for every object constructor will execute once. S1 object purpose constructor is executing. S2 object purpose also constructor is executing now. So two constructors are initialization, same values are initialization, Sai and Sai like this. So now let's run this two times, two objects are there, two times display method I'm calling. Same student details are coming for S1 reference as well as S2 reference only. But my requirement is I want to display S1 object through one student details, S2 object through other student details I want to display. Here now this time you can create 10 objects 10 times. If we call display method, same details we are going to get. But my requirement is what? S1 object purpose, I need to display one more student details, different student details. S2 object purpose, we need to display on different student details. In this context, we can go for parameterized constructor, sir. Right now we have a constructor, but constructor is don't have any parameters. Yes, we have a parameter that is default parameter like self only. But I'm going to use parameterized constructor because I have to supply the values as per my requirement. Right now, this is a constructor. It's a special method. This method is don't have any additional parameters. Let's take parameters here. Method with parameters. You know that. S name, S address, S ID. Now this time this is hard code values inside the constructor. I should not give hard code values. I should accept from the user at the time of creating object only. So this parameter values I am assigning. S address. Now you can see these are parameters. These are variables. This SID, SName, SAddress. These are associated with self. No, these are actual variables of your class where you are going to store final result. But right hand side is what? This is parameter values. Whatever we supply the values, it will come here and it will be assigned from right to left only. Right hand side is parameters here, these values. Left hand side is original variables only, which is accepting. But look at here, this is the constructor. It's a method, special method. So constructor will execute when we create object to the class. Look at here, as soon as when we create object to the class, when we open the bracket here, immediately constructor is expecting what, sir? Student ID, student name, student address. Here we have to supply the values to the constructor only. Student ID, student name, student address like this. So these values directly goes to 101 will goes to here. Sai will goes to here, says name. HYD is going to store S address only. And here 101 is there, Sai is there, HYD is there. This value will be assigned to here only. This value is only I am printing inside the method only. So next object through also we have to supply the values. 102, name Raj, and address is SR Nagar like this. Okay, I'm changing the address. So now this time you can see we are getting two objects, two different details we are supplying to the constructor only. As soon as when we hit this, now we got this output. You can see two objects purpose, two student details are displaying clear. This is constructor with the parameters. So parameterized constructor. So method with parameters, how? Same, constructor with parameters. But one thing, this parameter names and this variable names no need to be same. Okay, you can take any parameter. Just for understanding point of view, I took this. Even you can take any parameters. Parameters are just input values to the constructor only. When we create object, we have to pass the values. X value we are assigning here. Here what I'm taking Y value. And here what I'm taking Z value. So now this time 101 will go to X variable, Sai will go to Y variable, and SYD will go to Z variable or parameter. This values we are assigning. So what does I mean? This parameter names and actual variable names should not be same or need not to be same. If you want, you can include same, or else you can give any parameter names, no problem. This only parameters will accept the values here, and this will be assigned to them, SID, SNAME, S address. Result will be same, sir. No changes here. Okay. So two objects are there, two times different student details we are going to display here. So this is constructor with parameters. Now observe carefully. Important thing I'm telling. Sir, what happen if I don't take here self? As I said that constructor inside self is the first parameter. Okay, it's compulsory. But if I don't include self, then what will happen? You can see this. You can closely observe the one of the first parameter, one of your parameters, like we passed three parameters, no, x, y, z. One of your first parameter acting as a self only now. You can see x color is changing. That is pink color. So now you can see when we place mouse pointer on x, it is saying intelligence like usually first parameter of a method is named called self only. But you are giving x only. But no matter, because self SELF is not compulsory required. If you want to change that name, you can change it. But that's not good idea because it's a standard name, no? So even if you change, it will allow. But once we change this x value like self as x only, you cannot use self again because you declared as a self x only, no? You can use x dot SID, x dot S address, x dot name only. But you are one of the parameter, first parameter SID, I'm taking a parameter here. Because I assigned x a self place in place of self, we use x only. Here x acting as a self only inside the constructor. But inside the method self only because we are declaring self and we have to access self through only. So that means what? Self name is not compulsory. In case if you want to change in place of self any other name like your name also you can use, this will work fine. But that's not good practice. So what is happening here? Inside the constructor, one of the parameter like self is there. If you remove self, one of your first parameter by default consider as a self only. Okay. So hope you understand that. Let's try to rechange this. So I'm going to do Control Z. So I'm going to remodify. This is self. Self is the first parameter. And even in the method also self is compulsory. Okay. So this is constructor. This is method. These two are objects. And object through I'm calling the method. Method will execute when we call it. If we don't call this method, method will not execute. Method will not display any values only. This is completely basic structure of Python object-oriented program. In this program, we understand like what is class, what is constructor, what is method, difference between method and constructor, when constructor will execute, when method will execute, we got this clear idea. Now, next, inside the class, including constructor is optional, not compulsory. Okay. Next, inside the class, including method also not compulsory, optional. But anyone is compulsory. If you want to display or if you want to deal with student details or any other details, anyone is compulsory. Got my point? Inside the class, including constructor is optional, not compulsory. Including method is optional, not compulsory, but anyone is must. So, but in this program right now, which I'm dealing, we have a constructor and we have a method. Both are there. Okay. Let's go to other program. Let's see this. As I said that constructor including is optional, method including optional. No? First, let's go for second program. Now in this program, you can see this. I'm including only constructors are there is no method, sir. Okay, I have only constructor, but method is not there. But look at here, this constructor class s equals to student class. Yes, s1, s2 is there. Object creation is there. Constructor will execute automatically. Now tell me, when we execute object-oriented programming 2, what is the output you are expecting? Tell me quickly. Don't delay. Please reply fast. What output you are expecting in this second program of this program? Like we are creating object. We are creating two objects s1 and s2. We created object to the class also. Sorry, this is my mistake. Now this is only. It won't give any output. Why? Because constructor is executing, but inside the constructor, no error, no error. Obviously, no error. Look at here, no error is there. This is right. No error, because we create objects. As soon as when we create object to the class, constructor will execute. Constructor is holding that x value 101, y value Sai, z value Hyderabad. It is holding that, but these values are not printing. Okay, sir, how I can print, sir? Can we print these details all inside the constructor? Is this good practice? Tell me. See, method is not there, but I'm printing here only. Is this good practice? Okay, that is empty parameter. That is not correct only. No problem. Now you can see, is this good practice? Now this time output will come or not? Look at here, only one constructor is there. Inside the constructor, we declare the variables and we initialize the values. But we are printing immediately. But this is not recommend. It will work, but it's not recommend. Why it is not recommend? You can say this. I have two objects. Two objects details are initializing. Immediately it is printing. Good. But my requirement is all of sudden changing. I don't want to display student to two details. Yes, I want to create student to one object, student to two object, but I don't want to display student to two details. What can I do? I want to display student to one details. I don't want to display student to two details. In this context, it will not work out. So that's the reason in the previous example, what I took, method I took here. So when I take this method separately for printing details, in this example, you have a proper idea. If you don't want to display student to two details, don't call this method for student to two object. So student to one details only will display. So method flexibility is clearly available. Again, whenever you want to display student to two details, you can call the method with student to two object. So again, student to two display is coming. Okay. But in this case, object number, program number 2, we include all the statements directly inside the constructor, but as soon as when we create object to the class, constructor will execute automatically. You can't stop them. For student to object don't execute, this means it will not. So it will execute and it will display. So in that context, this is not recommend actually. Flexibility is not there. Okay. This is what we can keep. This is better instead of inside the constructor, instead of inside the method only, you can keep that. It's okay, no matter. Right now, I don't have any separate method to print. Only constructor I have with me. Even if you have a constructor only, still we can able to print the details. If you don't need method also, you can use dictionary concept here. DICT here. Print s2 dot underscore underscore dictionary. So DICT is a dictionary. It's a special method again. We are printing this S1 object reference details dictionary format, S2 object reference details into dictionary format only. S1, S2 object values we are printing into dictionary only. So SID is a key, 101 is a value. S name is a key, Sai is the value. S address is a key, HYD is a value. So this is dictionary format, no? Yes. So S1 and S2 both are printing. Do we have any method here? No. We don't have any method like display method. Even though I don't have a method, I can display the details. No, by using what? Dictionary. So including method is optional, not compulsory. Even I don't have any method to print the details. I have option like s1.dictionary, s2.dictionary like this. Next example, I'll show you object-oriented programming 3. Now this time I will show the example including constructor is optional. Okay, constructor is not there. So only methods. Let's try to create a class again student. Now you can see df. I want to display get underscore student underscore data. This is what naming convention? Snake convention. Every word is separated with underscore. Okay. Now, this time I don't have any constructor inside the class, only methods are there. This method through I can accept student ID equals to, even if you want to accept at runtime values, you can use like this only. Int of input of enter student ID. Self dot s name equals to input of enter student name. Self dot s address equals to input of enter student address. Okay, student address. So this is just accepting all values from the user input by using this method. This method name can be of any name, sir. Okay, it's my own method name. I can use any name. Now def, next method I'm taking display underscore student underscore data. I want to display student details. Already I have a display purpose. We have these statements. Let's copy and paste it here, sir. Now you can see I'm copying this and pasting into inside the method. So we have two methods inside the class. No constructor is involving here. All are methods only. So let's create object to the class s1 equals to student. Now s1 dot get emp data method I'm calling. S1 dot display emp data method I'm calling. Method I'm calling. There is no constructor available, you can see. So including constructor is optional, I'm saying in this example. Only methods are there. My method name is this one. This method through I'm asking values at runtime. So user will enter the values, and this method through I'm displaying the details. Once I hit this object oriented programming 3, let's hit this. Now you can see enter student ID, student name, student address. So we got the details. Output also came. You can create any number of objects also. It's not a matter. Okay. So first program, look at here. Constructor is there, method is there. Both are there. Second program, only constructor is there, but we don't have method, but still I can display the details of the students by using dictionary. Third program, we have no constructor, only methods are there. Okay, like this. So this is different style of writing code, same program in different style. Okay, but finally, I'll discuss one simple topic, then close today's session. See, when we call display method, how it is displaying the details, sir? In detailed means 3 student details are there, 3 statements I'm printing. Look at this, 3 statements I'm printing. Like once I entered the values again, 1, 2, 3, name, HOID. 3 statements separately print. Student ID is 1, 2, 3, student name, student address, like this. But instead of 3 statements, we can also take single line statements also. Let's comment this one. All 3, I'm selecting control / comment. Now single line through also we can display, sir. How we can display single line through? Print self.sid, self.sname, self.saddress, like this. Self.sid, self.s, only one line. Let's run this once again. Only within one line only we are printing, like this. So only one line printing is there. This is option number 2. How the way you want, you can display that. Okay. Next option number 3 is there. This is important. Try to understand. So this is formatting style. String formatting means according to your requirement, how the way you want to display the student details or employee details, you can display that. Look at here, print. I'm using placeholder representation. This is placeholder. ID is, okay, again placeholder, and address is again placeholder. 3 placeholders are there because 3 values I have to pass into here. So how to pass? Using dot format function. Dot format. So first what I have to use? Self dot sid, self dot sname. But look at here. First I am passing what here? Here I want to display name. Name. For example, student name is Sai. Sai should come to this placeholder. ID is ID number 1, 2, 3 should come to this placeholder, and address is address value should come to this folder. First I have to mention name, ID, address. So In the dot format function, self dot name I am taking, like S name only. Yes, student name. First one, student name. Next what? Self dot SID I am taking. Next, finally, self dot S address I am taking. Okay. Self dot SID, self dot S name. Sorry, S address finally. So order is following. First order is what? S name. S name directly will go to first placeholder. Second order is what? SID. SID will be stored into second position. S address means here it will store. So finally, the person student ID is and student address is like this, it will display. Let's run this. Dot format function here this is. So I'm giving 123 ID, student name Sai, student address is Hyderabad. So we can see this. Sai ID is 123 and address is what? Hyderabad. So Sai is going to place here only and ID is going to place here only. Address is going to place here. According to placeholder, according to my statements, I arrange this order only. Sir, I don't want to follow the order like this. I want to follow as it is this order only. How it is SID first, S name here, S address here, last. Then result will be changed. Observe here, result is changing now. So completely order is changing now. So result is changing. SID 123, S name Sai, S address is Hyderabad. So look at here, our result is completely wrong. 123 ID is Sai and address is Hyderabad. That's not good. But still you are following same order like SID, S name, S address. But there is one more option is there. You can rearrange this values properly. So SID is what index? 0 index. S name is what index? 1 index. S address is what index? 2 index. So SID 0 index, where you want, there you can give 0 index. So here I want SID, 0 index I'm passing. S name is index what? 1. Where you want S name? Here. So I can pass 1 index. S address is what? 2 index. Where you want to 2 index? You can use. Though you are taking this order, at least you can pass the index values correctly. So it will arrange that properly. So there is no issue at all. Either you can go for order or you can go through index only. Now this time I'm using 123 Sai HYD. So this is same order. Sai ID is 123 and address is HYD sir. So this is about formatting the result values, how the way you want, you can arrange that. So this way, this is going to be work and only one single line statement so it will work, or detailed printing also it will work. No problem at all. So this is about today's session completely. So difference between constructor and method and different style of writing object-oriented programming basic code, and including constructor is not compulsory, optional. Including method is not compulsory, optional, but anyone is compulsory to deal with the code here. So in tomorrow's session, we'll continue remaining details. So that's all about today.
Hi, sir.
Chal. Yeah, F string also we can print formatted string starting with F and we can use that. No problem at all. Tell me, man.
Sir, yeah, why we use constructor? Because with these methods also object will be created.
Method also we can use. Why we use constructor means just now you can see this. When we use constructor, this details, this logic you want to make applicable for all objects, commonly initialization part, then we can go for constructor. For all objects, you want to serve the details, this, you want to make this applicable all objects, you can go for constructor, because for every object constructor will be initialized, but every object method may not be called, because if you call it will call, otherwise not.
Okay.
F string also you can use. You can see this in the main method, they used F string. You can see formatted string like this. Okay, you can use formatted string like this. What they're using F string, same output will come, no problem at all. Okay, yes. So remaining things we'll discuss in tomorrow. That's all. In WhatsApp group, I posted already Core Python, Advanced Python PDF. You can download it, Advanced Python PDF over there. See you tomorrow at same time.